We're mic'd up with Montgomery.
Welcome to Real Talk, where real estate meets real conversations.
I'm Sean Harvey.
I'm Brittany Newhart.
Hi, Brittany. How are you today?
I'm always great. So, today we're going to talk about home must-haves and what is something that you want in a home, like that you don't have in your house, but you want. Like, I want 2 dishwashers. I think that would be the coolest.
I want a much bigger garage.
Yeah, I think everybody wants a bigger garage because you can build the biggest garage, but you're going to fill it up.
Yes.
Yeah, there's always stuff.
But at least if I had the option, I could fill it up.
Yeah, that's true.
This one is like I wedge 2 vehicles in it and it's full.
Yeah, and you kind of, on certain lots, you can't really do anything about it. It's
Right.
kind of your
I could build a bigger garage on mine. I just haven't.
Oh, yeah.
I could build a second garage.
Then you'd stay forever.
Maybe. It's hard telling.
So certain remodels in your house and certain additions to stuff do have return on investments. The hardest thing to update, though, is maintenance stuff. So it sucks to put a new furnace in, a new AC, a new hot water heater. Yes, you have to pay for it. Yes, you could maybe get a little bit more for your house for it, but it's kind of we expect it to be there.
Yeah.
So that's what sucks, is those ones don't have the biggest return of investment because visually people can't, like, you can see a new furnace, but visually they don't care. Like,
right.
Oh, cool. Like, it should have that. That's how they expect it.
Yeah. See, I know it's important to update your furnace and your air conditioner and keep them updated. But at the same token, it's like, okay, well, if I'm living in my house and that sucker's still running, I'm probably not going to be too apt to update it.
Until it breaks.
Yeah. I mean, some of those old ones run years and years.
Yeah.
And I mean, I have one property right now that's got a 40-year-old furnace in it. It keeps going.
It probably will go forever. The newer ones don't.
Right. But if I put a new one in, is it going to have a 10-year life expectancy? I mean,
exactly.
I don't know.
Yeah. So it's a good thing. When we do flip houses, we pretty much replace them because...
In a flip house, you kind of have to.
Because they're empty for a while or something is
Everybody
broken.
wants new guts in a flip house.
Yes. So it's great to do that. But for just your maintenance, it does kind of suck to do those things. Like, especially sewer clean, like sewer to the city.
Right.
A lot of people have done that. It sucks. I think we paid $6,000 back in like 2019 or 2018 when we did ours.
Yeah.
So that's probably gone up, and nobody cared.
Yeah.
We could say it, and it's a good security.
It is.
So that is nice. Like, people feel more secure in their purchase.
I care because I have owned rental houses that have had horrible sewer lines.
Yep.
And then guess what you got to do? You got to fix them. So for me, if somebody says new sewer line, I'm like, yeah.
Yeah, that's nice. Because you do know how much it costs. People think like, oh, okay, that shouldn't be too bad. Oh, it is.
It is.
And especially if you fix it after it backed up into your basement.
Yeah, or if you have to tear out half the street to replace it,
yes.
it all adds up very fast.
Yeah, we never really cared until it happened to us, and it turned out to be a $14,000 thing after it backed up. But that initial out to the street, now it is our big thing, like to look for in houses, or we just replace it right away before you question it.
As real estate professionals, we're supposed to recommend home inspections.
Yes.
I don't typically do home inspections on my own properties, but I have come to the point where I will do a sewer inspection because I do feel like that is very important.
And that's a good point to say. So you do a home inspection, it does not do your sewer.
That's an add-on.
Yes, you have to add that on. It doesn't usually do pest control stuff too.
Right.
So you can do another pest inspection. Obviously, if they're crawling around somewhere and they see something, they will note it, but they're not going to specifically look for whatever little.
Yeah, I did have an inspector tell me a month or two ago that, hey, I did see some cockroaches when I was snooping around. I'm like, thank you for the heads up.
Please don't tell me.
So now we're gonna.
You want to know, but
so now we had to deal with that, but at least it's done.
Yes.
I would feel horrible if somebody moved into a house and then found them.
Yeah, be like, oh, but you didn't tell me to look for it.
Yeah,
I saw it.
Yeah,
I
would feel horrible.
What else is not included in regular inspection?
Radon test.
Yes, radon test. Yep. The inspector can do it. Like the same inspector, you just have to add it on.
And they typically won't look they'll look at the general structure of a house, but if you wanted like an engineer to come in and say, oh, this is done wrong or this really isn't safe. If sometimes there's a basement wall that's tipping and you really need a second opinion on some of that stuff.
Yeah.
Just to see, okay, is it kind of at its worst part right now, or could it potentially get worse and collapse?
Definitely.
I've been in a basement where the basement wall actually was broke in half and
like
leaning
bending
sideways.
in.
Like, if this is a problem.
Yeah.
The buyer of that house lifted the house up and put a new basement under it, so they were aware of that.
Yeah.
But if somebody wasn't aware of that, sometimes you get a buyer that won't even walk into the basement because it's kind of a creepy old dungeon.
They don't care,
and it's like,
we'll never use it. Yeah, but you probably should
going
see it
into the basement at the very least, so I can at least report back or take some pictures. I've done that. I went into a crawl space and taken some pictures and say, okay, here's what it looks like.
Yeah, I'd be like, you don't have to do it, but I will.
Somebody's got to.
Yes. Another so good updates throughout your house. So before you sell, when you're living there, however you want to do it, it's a good return on investment when you do sell. Is a lot of them is kitchen, like we said, visual things. So kitchen remodels and bathroom remodels. They are spendier though. So it's not that it's your return that's really good, but the cost to do it is going to be spendy.
Yeah.
But they'll make the most impact because a bedroom is just kind of a bedroom, like 4 walls, carpet, paint, pretty simple. Right. But kitchen has all the cabinetry, all the appliances, all of the countertops. Like, it has more components in it that can make it fancy.
Well, a lot of buyers, like if you go look at a house and you see this completely outdated kitchen that's in poor condition, I mean, that really does change the buyer that's looking at the house.
Yeah.
It could greatly change the value of the house because maybe that buyer is not handy at all. Maybe they don't even know how to paint the cabinets or anything like that. Yeah. And having that kitchen that's done and that house that is move-in ready, it just makes such a huge impact.
Yeah, because about kitchen costs for sometimes just the cabinetry is $30,000 alone, let alone if you do something fancy or you have a huge kitchen or you pay someone else to do it.
Yeah, you got 2 different avenues you can go with kitchen. You can go cheap kitchen, you can go as expensive as you want on kitchen. But at the end of the day, anything that's a new kitchen is going to sell 10 times faster.
Yeah, definitely. And like, I'm a kitchen person. We are in the kitchen all the time. We eat in our kitchen, not really our dining room. Bedrooms are pretty easy. So lighting in bedrooms does help. So updating your light fixtures throughout. There's, I hate the houses where you have to flip the light switch and it comes on when the plug in and you have a lamp in the corner.
Oh, yeah.
They don't have recessed lighting.
They don't have any lighting.
There's so many times where I'm like, oh, that sucks. Like, instantly each client is like, seriously, there's not even lights in this room?
My living room didn't have any lights in it when I bought my house, and it has, I think, 8 recessed lights now, but
it is nice. It's not too hard to do either. Like, call an electrician,
but there again, you have an electrician, and my outlets were switched, half of my outlets.
Yeah.
So you're cutting holes in the drywall to run the wires up to the ceiling from the switches. You're putting in new outlets because they break them in half and switch them is what they do. So you get all new outlets, and then you're drilling holes every so often in the ceiling to put the lights in.
Yeah.
And then you're patching all of it and painting everything again. So it is easy, but it's not easy at the same time.
It is. It's going to help with return on investment, but it's also one of those things that people expect lights in a house these days.
Right.
Like, nobody thinks about it unless you're comparing side by side.
Right.
Yeah. It is a good thing. But upgrading your windows is always great. A lot of people do ask for that. They're like, how old are the windows? How old is the roof? And what's the siding like? A lot of people care about that. It's curb appeal, for one, but also it's inside functionality. It's electricity bill savings.
Yeah.
You get a lot.
And having a window that opens and closes is so nice.
Especially when you get an older house, people are like, okay, what's the windows like? Because 99% of them are painted shut.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's super fun.
Or they have those old lead weights in them, which, mind you, are not insulated where the weights go, so there's cold air coming in. But also, the ropes have been cut so they don't stay up, so you gotta make sticks or something.
It's horrible. We had that in the flip house, and like half of them are painted shut, the other half the ropes cut. The other half kind of just stays up, and trying to yank it down doesn't work. So they're getting all replaced, and it's expensive. They have different ways to replace them, where you could just like pop out the insert, pop in insert. Right. There's options, but overall, it's going to be one of the biggest cost-effective things.
It is. It really is
for either a flip or a new house or an old house.
And there again, when you do those things, you're just changing the caliber of buyer that's looking at your house too.
Yeah. I showed a house and it was an older house and it was updated throughout. I think it was actually one of your listings. And it had older windows and then it had some that they updated like 20 years ago, and then some they recently did. So it's like a generational walkthrough of windows.
Yeah.
Yep.
But as long as they were done within the last 30 years, most of the time that's okay.
Yeah, and the older ones opened. Right. Like they replaced the right ones. It was just funny because I was like, you can see how Windows evolved.
Yeah,
throughout one
it's
house.
The 100-year-old Windows that sometimes causes problems.
Yes, definitely. Another good thing is attic insulation. Of course, you can't see it, but there's a lot of loans. People don't realize that there's a lot of loans that require at least 12 inches of insulation, and a lot of houses are at least 8 or 9 that we see that need it. So
yeah, I would say regardless of what your loan type is, if you have a home inspection, they're gonna look at it and they're gonna say, oh, this is kind of lacking up here. And then if you do like any of the South Dakota Housing or FHA or rural development loans, any of those, and veterans, they'll want 12 plus inches, and they will actually not loan on that house unless you have that.
Yeah.
But not only that, if you're just living there, it is so much more efficient because otherwise you're losing all your heat out the roof.
Definitely. And overall, insulation doesn't cost much itself. If you can put it up there yourself, it's not too bad. Throw a bunch of extra bags up there.
And even if you need to hire it, the bids I've recently received are not very bad.
No, I think it's pretty affordable for one of those updates, especially in the long run. It could potentially drop your electricity bill.
Right.
Say $75 over 12 months. Mm-hmm. Right there is going to probably pay for it. So it's worth it. Painting, that is probably one of the cheapest, easiest things. Don't do the landlord paint, where you paint over all the outlets and the plugins and the light switches and the windows, everything like that. But just a nice fresh coat of paint really helps the space, especially
inside and out.
Yes. Outside paint is a little bit more expensive or tedious if you're, doing a whole job.
If you got flaking paint or something, just get it.
And that's another thing too, flaking paint for a lot of these loans. It's for those FHA loans. I think the biggest thing I see is attic insulation, handrails, flaking paint,
smoke alarms,
yes. And we bought like a 10-pack of smoke alarms. Super easy to put up. It has like this 3M tape stuff. They stick really well. We bought those. Super easy. Walk around, put them up.
Yeah,
done.
It takes a half an hour, and you're compliant and safe.
Exactly. I was gonna say it's worth it to do it. And then the fire department goes around doing smoke detectors. It's obviously a thing that helps. Exterior improvements. Besides just painting, some nice landscaping, getting your trees cut down. Again, a lot of these are spendy, but in the long run could help you sell your house and help your functionality of your house, but also safety.
If your trees are dead, cut them down.
Yes.
If they're alive,
I mean, like when they're growing over top of your house, and then all of a sudden this derecho storm comes in. If you would have cut them down, you might not have as much of a mess. And there is lots of dead trees around places.
But just make sure that the weeds are cleaned out, the trees are trimmed up, the grass is cut. I mean, just curb appeal means a lot. And it doesn't matter if you're selling the house or you're just staying there. It helps the entire community when we all keep our yards up.
Yeah, definitely. There's, we had an old house that we cleaned out around the edging of, it was around the whole side of the house. And these bushes, whatever they weren't actually planted bushes. It was whatever wild stuff grew. Half of them were probably trees that were growing. But it started to affect the foundation. Mm-hmm. And it's clean it out, because that's going to turn into a foundation issue, which is going to turn into a huge issue because it starts to bore in. If you have kind of a softer foundation, there you go. Yeah. It's not going to be fun.
No.
So
they push on a lot of things, and people don't realize that as the roots grow and
that's a lot of sewer issues.
They just push, and sewer issues the same way. Yeah. A lot of our older homes a lot of homes in this town have clay pipe and clay tile, and what happens is it gets a hairline crack in it, and then the roots are thirsty.
Yeah.
So they find their way into that, and then they grow inside of it, and that's where you see your blockages.
Yeah. What I think's crazy too is you can have your house here with not any trees in the front yard, nothing in the front yard. Your clay pipe goes out, and you can have tree problems because 5 houses down has a tree or something, or 2 or 3 houses down, whatever, has a tree, because those roots go so far. You don't even realize.
Well, they say a root is as long as the tree is tall. Yeah. Roughly.
Exactly. So
like that tree in my front yard, I mean, I'm probably touching my neighbor's basement across the street.
Exactly. That's what's crazy. So, and you could look and be like, oh, we don't have tree roots because we don't have trees. Okay, but look around you. How many houses have another tree in the front yard? Mm-hmm. And I'm like, did they have sewer problems and they replaced theirs?
Right.
But yours is going to affect too. Basement remodels. So there's a lot of times my husband says this and it annoys the crap out of me. He's like, we should build a 1,200 square foot house with a basement. And I'm like, okay, so 600 on top and 600 on bottom? And he's like, no, 1,200 on top, 1,200 bottom. I'm like, okay, that's a 2,400 square foot house. So I'm like, I hate when he says that because I was like, it's 2,400 square foot because of the potential living space. And he's like, well, if we don't finish the basement right away.
It's still there.
It's still there, yes. So I'm like, it still counts. Basements still count as living space. I mean, if they're crawl spaces, if they're short, like we take into factor that. But if you have a full basement and you finish that, you have potential. A lot of houses, say 2 bedrooms, another bathroom, and a living room,
mm-hmm.
or if it's a smaller one, a big living room, you have a second living space. So
yeah,
that's always worth it to.
If you have a family, and you don't mind the basement. I mean, there's people that don't want a basement,
right?
And that's fine. And there's people that can't have a basement because they couldn't access it, because they just can't anymore. But if you're building a new house and you have a basement, it will probably appeal to more people, I would say. Even if it's an unfinished basement, it still has that potential to grow as your family grows.
Yeah. So we built a slab house, but there's times where I'm like, oh, okay, our kids are going to be teenagers.
Mm-hmm.
Like, they're young still, so we got a while, but they're going to be teenagers, and we don't have that second living space for them to, like, hang out with their friends where we don't have to
Let's be real, Brittany. You're never going to live there that long.
I know. I say we're going to live there forever, but...
You're going to put in your 2 years, and you're going to move on.
Don't tell me. If anybody wants a house, I haven't. But no, like, that's... not having that second living is like, oh, someday. Yeah. We know that either we're going to have to build on or do that. Especially since we have a slab house. It's not like we can just add a basement or finish a basement later. And then you have older couples who still want a basement for their scare storms. They don't like storms. Or they have grandkids that come and visit and they only have 2 bedrooms upstairs and they need
a place to show people. Yeah,
exactly. And they host a lot of family events and they want everyone to stay in their house. So there's a lot of reasoning why people might want a basement.
Yeah.
And we have a friend who is strictly like storm stuff, I think. Like she...
Yeah, no, there's a lot of people that way.
She's like, I will never buy a house
if that ratio comes through, I'm having a basement. Yeah.
Exactly. So there's aspects of it. Finishing it out, there's different stages of finishing everything. So different stages of finishing your garage. You can insulate it. You can sheetrock it. You can put trim. You can make it completely finished. Same thing with the basement. You can make it kind of a hangout pool table loungy type of thing and not really have carpet and it finished, or you can finish it. So just different levels of how much you put into it, but also the return is a little bit better.
Right. Absolutely.
Finishing. So little things, is there stuff that you usually do in your house right away coming in? Like we always move in paint. Like painting and flooring.
I feel like the last first couple times, I guess maybe we moved, I put up a fence while Amber unpacked. That's like one of the first things. Yeah. But then typically paint is a big one.
I feel like fences are a pretty good return on investment. It's spendy. A lot of people don't really think about it too much, but if you have pets and kids, you think about that.
We have pets. She was running a daycare. I mean, it was a must-have. So.
Yeah, definitely. So
the fence, we unpacked the load. I went and started putting fence posts in, and away we went.
Yeah, I was going to say, every time we moved in, it's been, like, we've been in houses that you can live with type of thing, but it's usually, after a while, flooring, painting, and then updating.
So we bought our house, and then we've done a lot. I mean, I put a shed in, so I did half the fence, put the shed in, and then we did the rest of the fence so we could get it in, but then... it's like we had a fuse box, so we updated that to a breaker box, and then we did the sunroom windows, and then we did all the windows in the house, and then we did the paint on the exterior, and then we did all new flooring, and then we did the kitchen, and then we did the bathroom, and then it just never ends. So.
As people don't realize too, like this could be within 20 years.
Right.
You could slowly update, slowly fix stuff, or probably within 10 years, say, because by the time you hit 20 years, you're starting over.
We're going on, I think. 9 or 10 years, and
Yeah.
we've done a lot.
You've probably touched every
Still,
space.
well, I still have one bathroom to do.
There you go.
Yeah.
See?
Everything else is
So when you're done, are you selling too, Sean?
I suppose.
That's just how we are.
Yeah, well, it seems like that's when our houses are actually finished, is the day before we list them.
Yeah, that's
because then we're like,
so
okay,
great.
I gotta finish this now.
Isn't that funny? Where there were so many projects where like we have to fix this, do this.
But I'm
like,
trying to be better about that.
Yeah, true. Trying to. It doesn't help. So, upgrading appliances sometimes does help too.
It does, because appliances are a big expense, and
well, you put nice appliances in a somewhat outdated kitchen, it can really help. Like that oak stain stuff is coming back. A lot of people like it. If you update countertops and you put new appliances.
Well, a lot of times if you have an old kitchen, you can put new hardware on it and maybe a new countertop and appliances, and it looks just like a new kitchen.
If I was looking at like an oak wood place, okay, so you don't have the soft close, you don't have the cabinets all the way to the ceiling, okay, but if you replace the backs, if you put a nice backsplash, a nice countertop, and updated appliances, maybe a new sink, depending on how the other one looks. Sometimes those porcelain old sinks better than the new stuff. Right. So update that, all the hardware, boom, looks like a new kitchen. Yeah. And it actually would look pretty modern today because of the style that a lot of people have now.
Yeah, so sometimes you don't have to spend $20,000. You can just go in and do hardware, countertops, and some paint. And I
would say too, like painting walls, yes, but some people paint your cabinets. If you're not gonna do it the right way, just maybe don't do it.
Yeah.
Because you could potentially ruin the cabinet for somebody else. Like if you're like, oh, we need to sell our house, let's paint the cabinets. If you're not going to do it good, then it kind of sucks because the next person either has to finish or fix it or replace it, even though you spent all the time and money.
Right.
If you don't execute it,
they make special paint for cabinets.
Yeah, exactly, and just doing it the right way. Yes, and I was like, it's a tedious task. Don't do it in a night because you're bored.
Right.
Everything. Flooring. If people, it's great that people want to put in new flooring in areas, but if you don't do it right, it doesn't even matter. Mm-hmm. You spend all that time.
Yeah.
If you don't click together your click together flooring, which I've seen houses like that, I'm like, why? Like you're so close. You pick this beautiful flooring, you updated your kitchen, and then you didn't do it right. Read the instructions, watch some videos, figure it out, or hire somebody to do it.
What I figured out is that if your new piece of flooring isn't laying flat, it's not clicked.
Yeah, right.
So make sure it lays flat before you move on to the next piece.
And there's so many nice, cheaper floorings. There's so many nice laminates. There's so many like tile-looking click together. We put a tile-looking click together. It's so thick. It's so nice, so durable. Mm-hmm. But if you don't click it together, those seams, you're gappy. When you look at it close up, you're like, okay, it looks fine. When you step back, you see all the wonky curves. And same thing with some backsplashes, depending on what you get.
Yeah, and make sure the floor is straight for the first X amount of rows, because that will determine the rest of the house.
Yeah. There's a lot of things you can find online, and if you want to do stuff yourself and you don't want to hire it out, I would research a lot. Because there's a lot of mistakes you can
literally learn to do anything on YouTube.
Yeah. Nothing hurts more than when you fix up a whole entire house and then somebody comes in and rips it apart.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I was like, we haven't had that, but I've had it happen to clients, and I'm like, it sucks. They're like, we just replaced that carpet. I'm like, we didn't like it, or...
But the question comes up, do I replace my carpet or do I give the buyer a credit?
Exactly. I would give a credit.
My opinion is opposite of that.
Really?
I'm like, you put the new flooring in, because if somebody comes in there and that floor is torched, it doesn't matter what the credit is. The house is going to not show as good.
I guess I would say it in that sense, yes. So if you're just going to list, replace the flooring, list it. But say you come in, you put an offer in, and you say, I want you to replace the flooring. Like, I did an inspection, did all this, I want the flooring replaced.
Right.
I would be like, I'll give you a credit because I'm not going to pick out what you might like. Or...
But I guess I was coming from the point where if your floor is so bad that you're kind of embarrassed by it, so you're willing to offer a credit, just replace it.
Right. So depending on what stage you're in,
yes,
it could go either way. But if you're before your listing, just maybe replace the flooring, but do it right.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because if not, you might as well not even have flooring.
Right.
So. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, any other things, if you were building a brand new house, what's one thing you would always add to it besides like the basics, besides garage, whatever?
Oh, I can't pick the garage.
No, you can't pick garage.
Oh, you know
Like
what?
a weird out there.
I showed a house yesterday, and it had a fan in the bathroom. So this fan, not only did it suck the moisture out, but it blew hot air in right in front of the shower.
Oh, okay. Like
100% sold on that.
Yeah,
I turned it on and there was this hot breeze coming down, and it was right outside the shower. I'm like, yep, need that.
That'd be nice. I do love the heated floors in bathrooms now, so I'd probably go back and do that kind of thing, and maybe we'd push for the basement as our kids get older. But I really like the double dishwasher and the 2 washers and dryers.
Oh yeah,
that would be nice. Like having 2 dishwashers,
who in the world would want 2 washers and dryers? You know how much that is to fold every day?
Yeah, but like I want like a good one and a bad one because Randy's got like drywall stuff on it, and I'm like, cool. I'm gonna wash towels before I wash my dress clothes. After you just washed whatever this was, like when we were cleaning out the flip house, I was like, that's disgusting. I was like, wash it 3 times. And yeah, it'd be nice, especially like kids have muddy clothes or something, to have like kind of a crappy washer and dryer.
Right.
Out in the garage. That's even. True. Yeah. Yep. So perfect. Well.
All right.
Yeah, we'll see you next week.
Yep, see you next week.
Bye.
And remember, who you look with matters.